Hi, guys. It's Monday, and here we are. Go ahead and let me know who you are and that you're here live, and just give me just a second while I hit live in all the places and get us started. Give me just a second. Make sure you say hello. Let me know that you're here. And I'm going to pull this up on my phone very quickly. Well, I don't know how quickly, but my intent is quickly. All right, so where are we? Oh, man. Undo. Jeez. Where are we? All right, let me click out of that and start over. There we go. Hit live in all the places and get us started. All right, so I think we are up and running. So hello. Make sure you say hello and let me know that you're here. And then we'll go ahead and going to go ahead and get this show on the road. So I have been having the most fun recently. I'll share. It has nothing to do with this, but I'm going to share anyway. It kind of does in some ways when I share our affirmation and journal prompt with you guys. But I have been really playing around with getting more visible on TikTok. I have avoided it like the plague. I would go and I would watch other people's videos, but I really didn't want to be posting myself. And so my friend Christine has been doing amazing things on TikTok. And she actually hired someone. Hi, Delana. Is it Delana? I think it's how you say it. Forgive me if I'm saying it incorrectly. But as she was playing with TikTok, she realized how much she didn't know. And so she actually found a local person near her to help her with her TikTok page or TikTok channel, whatever the heck you call it. And so it got me intrigued. And so I've been going on. So I've only done like 3 or 4 lives. And I was having so much fun because people pop in and there's like, they just pop in and some stay, some leave. And so there's like this full movement of people. And sometimes they will chat with you and kind of like us here, right? But it moves fast. It moves very fast. So it was very intriguing. And I shared a lot about my hypnosis and my coaching, and then I shared about the new book that I've written. So I'm going to drop it some information about it again. One of my tasks for today that I haven't gotten to yet is to add that to my link tree and to my social media stuff, but I've been busy, right? And so it's been amazing. Yes, that's right. Can I PM you, please? Yes, that's true. Yes, you certainly can. So I'm going to go ahead and share today's affirmation, and you'll see why I said that little bit about TikTok was kind of a little bit in that area. Because I'm telling you, I really avoided it. I don't know why. It intimidated me, amazingly intimidated me. But here's the affirmation for today. I am no longer shrinking to fit. I was made to stand tall in my truth, to speak with purpose, and to take up the space that is mine to own. Because what is it we do most of the time? We shrink ourselves down a little bit. And it doesn't mean we're making ourselves completely small, but what we do subconsciously is make ourselves a little bit small. And so it's really, really important to make sure that we're not doing that, right? So standing up starts with talking about how true confidence begins with internal permissions, giving ourselves permission to be visible, giving ourselves the right to matter, to take up space, and to trust our voice before anybody else does. That's the big thing, is a lot of times we wait for other people to validate us to actually start exercising our voice. So there's a cost to shrinking. There is a cost to shrinking. So, how are you a people pleaser, right? People pleasing can really, really shrink us. Self censorship or staying small might feel safe in the moment. All right, I'll check it out in just a little bit, Delana. Thank you for sending the message, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. Let's see, where was I? So staying small might feel safe in the moment, but it often leads to burnout, to resentment. Because really, when we aren't true to ourselves and we let other people kind of dictate what we're doing, we're okay with it in the very beginning. That's why a lot of relationships have issues, because people really just kind of bend over backwards to do things in a relationship in the beginning. And then when it's not reciprocal, then they start resenting things, right? And so, in your business, it could lead to resentment because you're spending all this time and all this energy and then nothing's happened. But it also can give a sense of disconnection from who you really are. Being disconnected from who you really are, that's not good, right? And then bold doesn't mean loud. When we're being bold and speaking, right? So I want to reframe what it means to stand out. So it's not about being the loudest person in the room. We've all been in groups where there was a loud person in the room and it certainly wasn't good, right? But it's about being aligned. Because when you speak from your values and your purpose, your presence becomes magnetic, right? So let's go back and let's look. I am no longer shrinking to fit. And remember, anything that comes after the words I am is ultra powerful. It's claiming it is true. So, like I always say, be very careful, or mindful is the better word. Be very mindful when you say the words I am, because whatever comes after that, your subconscious mind is doing everything it can to figure out how that's a valid statement. So even if you haven't had anything that felt that way, or that you evidence of that, even though you kind of felt it, it's coming, right? So it's just kind of being mindful. I am no longer shrinking to fit. I was made to stand tall in my truth, to speak with purpose, and to take up the space that is mine to own. It's okay to take up space. A lot of us had different things said to us when we were young, right? It wasn't good to take up space. Children were supposed to be seen and not heard. You're supposed to let somebody else go first. All these things that we're taught as a young child doesn't necessarily help us as an adult, right? Maybe it helped us be more polite when we were kids, get along better. Maybe it helped us with all of that. But as you get older, if you're still feeling all that, if you're still shrinking so people don't pay attention, or shrinking to fit into a particular group, which that's what people do in school, right? Because if they don't, they're chastised and they're outcast, right? But if you're standing tall in your truth of who you are and you're speaking with complete purpose, then you're supposed to be taking up space. It's yours to own. So I invite you to just kind of look at your life. Where are you being a people pleaser? Let's go ahead and get to our journal prompt real quick. Where'd it go? All right. So our journal prompt: where in your life have you been dimming your light to make others more comfortable? And sometimes we don't do that consciously. We do that because we can see that when we're talking a lot about these amazing things that are happening in our lives, let's say, for instance, maybe you just started a new business and you're excited about it and it's going well. but most of your friends work a 9 to 5 job, and they don't really have aspirations for doing a entrepreneurship business or anything like that. They rather work for somebody else and have a steady paycheck. Well, they're going to start getting a little irritated with your excitement about all this thing because they don't understand it. And I'll share because I had a really weird experience one time and this kind of fits in there. I've been an entrepreneur almost all my life with the little things here and there where I would work for somebody else, right? But my thing was I'd always been taught, because my parents were entrepreneurs, my aunts and uncles were entrepreneurs. So I was taught that you're constantly looking at, how to grow, how to do something better, right? And you had goals and expectations that kept you financially looking higher on the ladder, right? That's just the way it is, because if you're stuck at a certain level financially, it's time to kind of look at the dollar financial part, right? And set another goal. Well, people that work for companies, well, let me just, I'm explaining way too much, but let me just tell you this. I was dating a guy that he was a school teacher. Now, he had advanced degrees and all these things, and this has been many years ago, and he was a Spanish teacher. But with all of his degrees and everything, he was making over $80,000 a year from teaching way back. It's probably been 15 years ago, something like that. I don't remember exactly. But the thing is that was a lot more than most of the teachers made. And he was comfortable there. He liked it there. And, no matter what he did, he didn't make more unless he went and got another degree. It wasn't like he could spend more time or he could set goals or anything like that and change that. No, that was how much he made. So he didn't understand me when I had aspirations for something more. And we actually took a weekend trip to go to these cabins, and it was at a hunting lodge, and it was in Georgia. I can't even remember where it was, but we went, and I had been gifted from a client that loved me dearly. I had been gifted like a 3-day weekend there because she had some kind of connection with this lodging place. So I wasn't paying any money for it, but it was very elaborate. We thought it was going to be these rustic cabins, but they were gorgeous. And then they had a restaurant on site as well. It was a hunting lodge thing, but it was like upscale hunting, I'll say. But anyway, we get to the cabins and, he's acting a little odd. We go to dinner, and it's one of those where they've got the napkin over the arm and the waiter's coming and taking care of you, and they're opening up the wine. And I mean, it was everybody else that was there was very dressed up. We were not, because I didn't realize that it was a big deal, right? So anyway, I made a statement when we were there that I loved this restaurant. I loved the food. And I said, isn't this the most amazing thing, this place, and how elaborate it is, and look at the decorations. I was just talking about all of it because to me, it was one of those upscale times that was like, this is what I want to be able to do every day if I want to. Doesn't mean I will, but I want that ability. So it was stretching my thoughts about what was possible, right? Well, after dinner, he was like having this meltdown about how we had such different views of life, because that made him uncomfortable, that elaborate luxury. It made me excited. And it wasn't until then that I recognized that not everybody has this thing about wanting that kind of luxury, wanting to be able to do that, or even think that's possible. Now, at the time, did I know how I was going to be able to do that? Heck no, but I still was dreaming. But because he was a teacher that cannot make more money unless he has a second, like, entrepreneurial journey, which he wasn't willing to do, It was like he was capped. He knew how much money he was making all the time, right? And so we had very different views of everything. And so it almost felt like he was asking me to dim my light to make him more comfortable. So now that's a very long story to tell you that. So have you ever experienced that somebody else, you've got this dream, you've got this vision or something that you like or think you want in the future, and somebody makes you feel a little bit like, well, that's not right. You shouldn't be wanting that, and made you feel like you needed to dim your light to make them more comfortable? I would love to know. Let's see, we've got some people watching. Thank you for being here watching. Let me check and see what's going on over here. Hello over on Instagram. I'm asking you as well. Has there ever been anybody in your life that's actually acted a certain way and made it almost like you're supposed to dim your light to make them comfortable? And that's not the only time that ever happened to me, but that's the one that was the most in my face about it, right? And so it was the most uncomfortable ride home for him to take me home from that. We ended up leaving early because he was so freaked out. And today I would have said, you just go ahead and go. I'm staying and enjoying this time. But back then it was like, I wasn't wanting to dim my light, but I wanted to make him feel a little bit more comfortable. We left. And we quit seeing each other because obviously I wasn't going to stay in the relationship. He wasn't comfortable either, but it was one of those things that you don't know until you're in it, right? When it comes to relationships, who knows? People put on this face, right? You've had that. Okay, I gotcha. So I'd love to ask you to reflect on what it would feel like to fully show up, unfiltered, unshrinking, and unapologetically you. And that's one of the things that TikTok's bringing up for me is getting on there and just having conversations and talking as me. And not that I don't talk as me with you guys, because I feel like I'm being authentic as I can. I still have on makeup, right? I still fix my hair most of the time, but I have had times that I came on without makeup, and I have had times where my hair looked a little bit of a mess. But I'm talking more about who we are inside, not necessarily how we look, right? So if you fully show up as yourself with your own values, your own ideas, your aspirations, unfiltered, unshrinking, and unapologetically you, what's that look like? What does that feel like? And no matter who you are, when you get to this place where you're showing up unfiltered, unshrinking, and unapologetically you, there's always, and you got to be prepared for it, there's always someone, just like that guy was wanting me to dim my light, right? There's always someone who will reach out and say, naughty, naughty you. Right? Because what happens is, as our light gets brighter, we start not shrinking. We're standing up and we're standing out. We're being unapologetically who we are with our values, our thoughts, right? It makes some people feel uncomfortable because the more you shine, the more you're shining a light on the fact that they don't have these aspirations, that they don't want other things. And I'm not talking so much as physical properties, that can be something too, but it's wanting knowledge in yourself. It's wanting to tap into who you are and all of those wonderful things that we talk about all the time, right? And so it's being aware that there are people that it's going to make them a little bit uncomfortable. And you just got to know that. And you just got to let it just kind of slide off. Sometimes you might have a friend that feels a little uncomfortable and maybe they don't come around as much. But the beauty is that the more authentic you become, the more unfiltered and unshrinking you become, the more you're going to open up your life to people that will help you and pull you and guide you and celebrate the you that you are, instead of having someone who holds you back and shrinks you down so that you don't, right? And my book that I just published, the Light Beyond the Map, it's the entrepreneur's journey. It's a fable, but Alara is living in a town where everything is just so, and everybody's happy. They're just enough. They're friendly enough and everything. But she kind of wants something more. But in the beginning, she's kind of afraid to want more because people don't understand, right? And I think that we can become complacent with what we want because we're looking at what everybody else is doing and feeling it, right? And so it's getting in touch with your values, getting in touch with what do you really want, and then moving forward from there, right? All right, so I'm going to go back to our affirmation. I am powerful, powerful, no longer shrinking to fit. I was made to stand tall in my truth, to speak with purpose, and to take up the space that is mine to own. And you shining your light doesn't dim anybody else's unless they choose for that to happen. We're not in control of anybody else but us. So put this on your index card, the screensaver on your phone, your sticky notes, put it somewhere that you're going to see it today. Because standing up starts within. And the best thing you can do for yourself is become so in touch with yourself that nobody can knock you off. Nobody can dim your light. When you come into relationships, whether it's a friendship, romantic relationships, or whatever it may be, when you come in with knowing who you are, oh man, can you get to the right place in that relationship? Can you just soar in that relationship? Beautiful, right? So remember, put it on your sticky notes, your index card, the screensaver on your phone. Put it somewhere that today, and maybe every day, you're reminded who you are. And then I'm going to go back to the journal prompt. Where in your life have you been dimming your light to make others more comfortable? Reflect on what it would feel like to fully show up, unfiltered, unshrinking, and unapologetically you. Now, as I always recommend, you get out your journal, your notebook, you put the date, the affirmation, and the journal prompt. You say them out loud with emotion, not volume. I mean, you can with the volume if you want to, but that's not really what is important. What is important is the emotion, the feeling that you have when you say it. And then you set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes so that you can tap into the silent space within you. And that doesn't mean you haven't got chatter going on in your mind, because a blank slate on your mind is impossible. It is not human. We all have thoughts that randomly go through our heads. That's perfectly normal. And so when you notice it there, you just kind of quiet down a little bit. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to hear that internal dialogue, that intuition, that inner guidance, your God voice. You'll be able to hear, because all of that is talking to us all the time, helping us, guiding us, protecting us, right? Protecting us in a good way, not like your conscious mind is saying, don't do that. It might hurt, but it's really what you need to do, right? So it is doing all of those things for us and talking to us, but we can't hear it for all the noise And so what this is doing is it's helping you to tap into your inner guidance, your God voice, and connect in a different way. So that when your timer goes off, you take your pen, put it to paper. And one of the things that there have been studies about this, and it works two different ways. One way is people that are learning and growing and becoming something, and they're taking notes, they're in class and they're taking notes, even if you're taking notes here. If you're writing the notes, your brain is connected to your hand in a way that it remembers what you're writing down, and you will retain more of what you learn. Also, the thing that happens is when you start writing, your intuition, your God voice will help direct your hand as it lets the thoughts come out more. And it's just an amazing process when you're open to it. So just try it. And I will say, in the very beginning, when I started doing that, it was like, I would think, I don't know, what am I supposed to say? And I'd write, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. The next time, I had a few little answers, and the next time even more. So when you start doing that, if you're not getting anything, don't worry about it. Just write. If I knew the answer to this, what would it be? Just give yourself a chance to just kind of brain dump whatever shows up, and just allow this to work through, right? Because it is an amazing thing when you utilize it. So our affirmation and our journal prompt and are really tied together. I'll create them together. And the cool thing is, as you're doing this, you are opening yourself up to possibilities, and you're setting the stage for, if this were true, if I wasn't dimming my light and I was showing up this way, what's possible? But see, when you can write that, reflect on what it would feel like to fully show up, unfiltered, unshrinking, and unapologetically you're future pacing this amazing thought of who you are, right? And that's a brilliant way to begin shifting inside and moving through life in a totally different way. I was sharing yesterday with someone about the and it might have been somebody today as well. How when you're out walking, and you're at the airport, or maybe you're at a mall, if there are malls, a shopping center, and you see people walking around, you can just watch people. I love being a people watcher. So sit there and just watch people, and you can tell who feels confident in who they are and who doesn't. Who's sad, who's depressed. You can tell by just the way they walk, the way they look at people or don't look at people, right? And so by you reflecting on this and really tapping into what it feels like to fully show up this way, you're going to be seeing almost like a vision of yourself with a different walk, a different stance, a different speech pattern, a different way of moving your hands. It's going to be putting you into that place in the future right now, so that you know what it feels like. And then you look for ways to feel that, how you feel, right? If it feels like freedom, if it feels like joy, if it feels like happiness, if it feels like release, what does it feel like to fully show up? And then you can start finding ways to feel that before it actually shows up. So are there any questions? I would love to know. All right. So if and there's a delay here, so forgive me if I'm not seeing your answer or your question. I'm looking over here. So over here on Instagram, any questions? Because if not, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I've got a list of things to accomplish for me today. And so I have really enjoyed being here with you guys. And I hope this affirmation and journal prompt was something to get you thinking a little bit more. And like I said, my book, The Light Beyond the Map, is now on in Kindle publishing. And I'm going to be working on getting some printed copies as well. But right now it's just on Kindle, or not just, it is on Kindle. And it's a fable, a parable of the entrepreneurial's journey. And so it's really, really cool. And I know I've had a few people that have reached out that said that they were really blown away with it. And not that I'm tooting my own horn, but who better, right? I'll toot my own horn. I'll pat myself on the back, because I will say it wasn't as easy as I had anticipated to get it all done and then get it in there. But it's there now, and I'm so excited about it. And so there's going to be more to come with all different ways that I can utilize that material to help entrepreneurs to move in their business. And then Christine and I are cooking up some amazing stuff right now for a program and a workshop that is going to be off the charts too. I can't wait. So let's see. I keep looking at my calendar. I don't have everything out, but I think we'll have some special guest experts coming in for this month. And I don't even know right now because I don't have my calendar up, who they are and what it's about, but just know that they're coming. But if there's something in particular that you want to see in the group, definitely reach out and let me know. And we'll see if it's possible to make that happen. But you have an amazingly, unapologetically you day. And I will see you on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern, and be blessed. Mwah. Love you guys.